So if you are anything like me, you're always looking for the perfect tool to use for any of the drawings that you do, whether that's the pencil, the pen, the ink, the fine liner, anything. There's so many choices for us artists out there, and we're always looking for the best one. Now, what is the best one? Well, that's kind of what I'm trying to find out here. As you can see, I have a wide arrangement of different tools at my disposal here. All of them do different things, but there's one tool which I barely use, and it's a tool I want to go into in this video. But first of all, let me show you these things. So we have a couple of different options here. We have gel pens, which, I mean, I don't really use them for outlining. They're more like a sketch tool. We have a micron, so a fine liner, anything like that. This is probably the easiest way to get a thin line in any of your artwork. Also depends on what thickness you go with. You have plenty of choice. Then we get onto things like brush pens. Brush pens are actually probably my absolute favorite. They're very hard to use and they do require a lot of control, but I think they're the most versatile tool out there. And then you can also get something like this Tombow that I have here, which has a more controllable brush tip. It's a lot easier to use than any of these other ones that we have, because if we look at this one's like a actual brush, like bristle brush. The others aren't. And then finally we have something like a fountain pen. Now this is a very nice fountain pen that I like to use for writing, not for drawing, because it has a very thick nib. You can also use these a lot, and people do use fountain pens a lot. I also have one which has an extra fine tip. Now, they are quite fun tools to use. I am looking to use them more in the future. But anyways, let's have a look. I've got some scrap paper here with me, and I want to show you guys a little bit of what each of these pens does. Now here we have a really fun pen to use. It's a Pilot G-Tech. These things are nuts. They have a very, very thin, what's it called, lead point? Whatever, the whole mechanism for the way this works. And this makes some really lovely thin lines. And I like to use something like this for sketching. You can just draw John here. This is an awesome tool to carry around with you, and a sketchbook for just, like I said, sketching. If you want to have the danger of using a pen rather than something like a pencil, this is a great way to go. And the same can be said for this. This is just a fancier version. It's, I think this is a Pentel, but inside of it I have like a normal ink cartridge, which I think is also a Pentel one, and it's also a gel pen, but I don't really use these for drawing much. I'm not gonna lie, I do prefer a ballpoint pen when it comes to creating lines. These are great to use. It's a fine liner. A fine liner is always fun to use. It's very easy to use, and it's probably the go-to tool for most people, but it depends on how you're looking at it, because these are very, what's the word? Dispensable? I mean, when you're done with this, it goes in the bin and you buy a new one. Some people prefer to have something nicer like this, something that you can keep for a very long time, and it's, you know, part of your carry and everything, and it's just nice to use. Fine liners, you do get some expensive fine liners, and I have no idea if they have ones which have refillable ink cartridges. I know you can get the Rotring isograph pens and other isograph pens which work a little bit differently. They use a needle, so they're a lot more scratchy than this. I also should have one of these in the video. I do have a Rapidograph somewhere. I can't remember where it is, but I do have one of them. They are very scratchy compared to these. Now onto the brush pens. Brush pens, fantastic. They create some lovely lines. There's so much variation, but they're also very dependent on the paper you use. This paper is very slippery and it doesn't really work well with this. And the same will go for something like this, but as you can see, it almost looks like it's about to wipe off. You shouldn't use this sort of paper. This is very scrap paper that I'm just using to show you. But all these brush pens, these are great. These can create a varied line, and you can get very thin with it, and it makes it look a lot more fun, and you can get your line variation in. So these pens are also fantastic, and they're great to use, easy to use, quick to use, and you can replace the ink cartridges. I believe you can buy the separate ink cartridges for this one. This, by the way, best one out there. I love it. And then you've got something like the fountain pen, which is also good for line variation. You can go much thinner, you can go much thicker, depends on how you put it on the paper. You can get some very thin lines with it. And you can also buy cartridges so you can put any of your own ink in them. But all of these, they're great. You know, these are fun to use. They're good drawing instruments and they're amazing for when you're on the go. I have a project that I'm going to try and work on now, and I want to be very authentic in it. I don't want to spoil too much about what I'm going to be doing. I'm trying my best to document it as I go, but I want to be very authentic in what I create. And let me just get our YouTube sketchbook out. I wanted to get a tool that I've barely ever used, and I wanted it to be the fun experience of using it. And we're going to use it a little bit in this video today. And that is some drawing ink. Drawing ink, and more specifically a nib. So a dip pen, I believe these are called. So obviously you get your ink and you dip it in and then you use it. They're very scratchy, but they make some lovely lines. And these nibs are very flexible. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. They're very flexible and they allow you to get an amazing range of lines. These are very popular in comic book use and in line art with people that tend to do traditional artwork. These are also quite customizable. I'm looking to get some tape around here and make it a little bit nicer to use. And obviously you can buy different nibs that will do different things. They are awesome. I also have some brushes here that I want to try and use. This is a very nice brush I purchased when I was in the UK. I'm hoping it'll be good for ink. I'm worried that it's a bit too thick because I don't have this type of control I would like to have yet. And then I have this. This is gonna be very difficult to use. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to use it at all. It looks like a fun tool though. And then the ink I have is some Sumi Ink 60 by Kuruteke. It's quite a popular company. They also make pens like these. And I also have a pretty cool brush pen from them over here. I should have probably showed you this. This is only like a felt tip pen. Very fun to use as well. And this also has a cartridge system. So when you're done using it, you can just pop another cartridge in and you're good to go. I believe they use the exact same ink that I have here. Now, unfortunately, this ink is water-based, so it will, I believe it's water-based. Yeah, water-based pigment, so it will smudge on anything like watercolors, but it's alcohol marker resistant. But I've also got some water here to test this, see if I can use it to shade. I don't know if that's allowed. I might be breaking some rules here, but let's get on and I'm gonna do a quick drawing that we can then go ahead and ink with these tools. So I've done a very quick rough sketch here of a character that I want to be drawing, and we're going to go right ahead and open this up. Now the nice thing about this ink, I don't know if it's me being weird, but it smells really nice. You don't really get that with using anything else. Oh man, yeah, that's got a nice nice smell to it. Now with this, I am prepared. I have a couple of these paper towels just in case I start making a mess. Let's make this a little, dropping everything. Let's make this a little bit smaller so we can just use it to wipe things down. And what are we going to get started with? I reckon we can get started with the line. So I'm not exactly sure how you're supposed to be using these. I think you're meant to dip it to the end of this, but we'll find out. I'm not a pro at this at all, so if you want pro advice on a dip pen, I do not recommend you come to me. I gotta say, it does make a really, really nice line. I guess it looks and works pretty much just like a fountain pen, except you have to actually go in and dip the pen to get your ink, but I get there's something satisfying about it. I also feel like there's gonna be a point where I dip too much and it's just gonna make, so far so good though. You'd expect a fountain pen to have almost the exact same when it comes to line quality. Maybe it's due to the fact that the nib is very flexible compared to like a net fountain pen. Some of them just aren't as flexible as this. So you can see I'm kind of going away from my reference lines that I've done here that look a little bit different. Man, this is a lot of, I gotta say, I like it. I like it a lot. The whole process is just I'm connected with this. It feels like I'm connected with this piece. There's probably some great tricks to using these and things that I will have to learn as I go along, but it seems rather fine. And also this paper from this very cheap sketchbook I bought recently, doing a great job. And I thought the dipping would be annoying, but at the moment I'm getting a lot of this ink remaining in it. I guess it's starting to run out a little bit as I said that. But really one dip is gonna get you a long way. If you wanna do a thick line, you gotta go downwards like that, which I should know using fountain pens. You know, I'm quite a fan of fountain pens. Let's see. It does work quite nicely if you want to do lines, more scratchy lines. Oh, look at that. That's an issue. Got some smudges here. Some smudge city action going on. It definitely works really nicely if you are like someone that goes, takes some pauses in their lines. What's it called? Chicken scratching, right? If you prefer to draw like that, this works very nicely. But it also works very nicely if you're just trying to make a smooth line. And the variation, I'm going to say this again, it is awesome. And you can make some really quick shapes as well. Look at that. And then we run out a little bit, but we go back and we dip it again. I can definitely see why comic book artists do this. I think the feel that you get alone from this, unmatched. Like, I'm way more connected to this. Look at that. Oh, that's nice. Very scratchy. I'm damaging the paper a little bit by doing this. Man, that is a lovely effect. I guess if I went like this, but now, see, that is definitely, like, if you're a comic book artist, you've got to be really careful about the smudging. That's going to be an issue for me. I'm going to have to try and avoid doing that as much as possible, or at least wait for it to dry. Fantastic. I mean, I'm in love with this at the moment. I think it looks amazing. Man, I think I've found a new favorite tool. Right, where do I put this now? I think I should just wipe it down just to make sure to keep it clean. It is water-based, so it should wash pretty easily. I have read something about the fact that you should prep your nibs before you use them. I'll have to read up a little bit more about that because I have no idea. Yeah, look at that. Cleanup done, I guess. Awesome. Now I'm going to try and use this ink with a brush. And that is going to be very interesting because this is basically a brush pen now, right? There is a lot more control involved, and I don't think I'll be able to do these like very clean lines. Also, yeah, before I tap off here, let me clean this up. Oh man, it looks so nice when you put that in the water. I also have this brush, which, oh, we'll see how this works. I feel like, oh man, no, this is gonna be an experience, man. That is way more control than I thought I was gonna have. These brushes basically come to a complete fine tip. I don't know why I'm so impressed by this, but I did not expect this brush to work like that. I was certain that it would just blob on here. I'm gonna try and create like a texture for the hair using this brush. I have kind of ruined it by doing that with the hair, but it's all right. It's a learning curve. I wasn't expecting this drawing to be any good anyways, but I am impressed with how this works. Now let's clean it up. Oh, I've got this like very watered down stuff now. Let's see if this works as nicely as I hope it's gonna work. And now you can suddenly create gradients. Love it. That is awesome. Just gonna do it roughly here. That's a very interesting shape that we're creating here. All right, before I get too carried away, this has been a great experience. I really wasn't expecting it to go this well. Now the art here, I may have ruined it a little bit by using the black on the hair, but it's not to worry. This was just a test anyway. Obviously, if I was using this in any sort of professional way, I would practice a lot and I would use it on a separate piece of paper before I placed it down anywhere. But I love the versatility of all of these tools, and this will be my new favorite tool, 100%. I think it's made the art feel so much nicer. I felt a lot more connected when I was doing this piece, which may sound weird for some of you, but I think it's important that we have a great connection with the tools that we use. So that's gonna wrap up the video. I mean, I think that was a fantastic experience, and I'm adding this to my new toolbox. I'm happy to be doing so. I'm sure I can get some nicer quality handles at some point and some nicer quality tips or nibs. Maybe not all of them feel as scratchy as this one. Maybe they do. It's not a problem for me because that friction that I get from using this, that is what's giving me all this control over these lines. And that's not something you get with everything. With something like fountain pen, with this one in particular, because it's a medium tip and it's also I believe it's a gold nib. I think those are quite known for being very smooth in writing. It glides very easily, which is great for writing, but for drawing, not always. That about wraps everything up. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found some new tools that you can add to your toolbox and maybe that you can enjoy. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you want to see anything else like this, or if you want to follow along our fundamental art journey that we're doing, then click in the links below. I'll have them all there. And subscribe to the channel to see anything else coming out. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy drawing.